What is going on, everyone? Adam Allard here with Airwing Webworks, and in today's video, we're going to be going over another SEO audit on a contractor's website. Before we get into that, a little bit of a shameless plug. I have a company called Airwing Webworks, and I create websites for contractors. So whether you are a pressure washer like today's video, or a general contractor, home remodeler, painter, roofer, all the other home service professional tradesmen's fields, I create websites for you. I focus on SEO and digital marketing, try and get your name out there, try and get some lead generation going for your company. So if that interests you, check out my company at airwingwebworks.com. Link to that will be in the description below. So like I mentioned, in today's video, we're going to be going over another SEO audit, which is something I do from time to time. I check out a contractor's website with their permission, of course, and just go through their website from top to bottom and try and identify different things, different issues that may be hurting their SEO a little bit, give them some actual actionable items that they can implement themselves. Or if it's just too much stuff, obviously, of course, hoping that they come out and reach back out to me to go and fix some of their stuff. That's one reason I do this, a little bit of a shameless plug, but another reason is also just to help you guys out as well. Maybe you watching this video, you see some stuff that applies to your website as well. You gain a little bit of knowledge on how to improve your website, improve the visibility of your website. And again, at the end of the day, it's just all about getting you more clients, trying to generate more traffic to your website, generate more traffic to your business. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this website here. So the website we're going to be going over today is called No Pressure Power Washing, and they are based out of Omaha, Nebraska. So just right off the look, the website looks great, honestly. I saw on the back end you're using Weebly for your content management system, and I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar with Weebly. I use WordPress for all of my sites. I've used Wix before a little bit and a couple other platforms. I've also been a software engineer for the greater half of 10 years, actually like 9 years now, 9.5, up to 10 years now. So I've built custom websites using a lot of modern frameworks. Like I started with Angular back in the day, and I write Vue and React apps all the time for my job. So been around the software engineering, the web development world for a while now, but just haven't used Weebly. But yeah, I'm impressed by it, to be honest. I didn't think Weebly would turn out to be this good of a website. So it looks really great, but there is definitely a lot of SEO hits on here. Now, they're not incredibly huge SEO hits, but it's a lot of small wins, a lot of small easy wins that you can do, right? It's like walking down the street and you find a nickel. The nickel itself isn't going to be much, but you walk down, you find 20 nickels, you now have $1, right? So it adds up pretty quickly, and you have a lot of small, easy wins, like I said, that you can implement yourself. That'll be a huge boost for your SEO over the long run. So one of the first things I like to do right off the bat is look at all of your different heading structures, because that is one of the most important ways that Google is going to be able to understand what your website is all about. So I use a plugin here. It's a free Google extension for Google Chrome, and it is just absolutely phenomenal. It's by marketingsyrup.com. I forget what the heck the name of this one is called, but I'll have SEO Pro extension, and I'll have a link to that in the description below. But this plugin is absolutely phenomenal. All right, we can go to the headings tab here, and we will see all the different headings for your web page here. And we will see we have one H1 tag, which is very important. Every web page should have exactly one H1 tag, not 0, not 2, but exactly 1. And then you have a bunch of H2 tags, a couple H3 tags, and nothing for H4 or H5 or H6s, which is totally fine. The sort of issue that I see here, though, is your one H1 tag is in the middle of the page, which is kind of like, we refer to that as below the fold. If you think back to like the newspaper times, right? You'd always want to be above the fold, because that's going to be the front cover that gets displayed when people walk by and they want to read that, right? So Google still uses that. They want to see things above the fold. They're going to rank things higher that are above the fold. And it just gets a little bit confusing when Google sees an H1 tag that is below the fold, or like halfway down from your page, because the H1 tag sort of describes the overall intent of what your web page is supposed to be about. So when Google sees this, they're seeing that you want your website to sort of be associated with eco-friendly solutions, when in reality, you know that that's not what you want it to be. You probably want this one here at the top, Omaha's Elite Pressure Washing Service. And this is actually a pretty common theme I saw on a lot of your different pages, where you have this hero section right here. This is supposed to be like the front cover above the fold, right? And this is supposed to be your H1 tag, where it really highlights or really sort of describes what the entire intent of your web page is supposed to be. So that'd be one of the first things I would do, is go through all your different heading tags and make sure that these are all formatted to be an H1 tag and everything else is not an H1 tag, right? Because you kind of want a big tree-like structure for your heading tags here, where like you have one H1 tag, you have a few different H2 tags, which sort of describe all the different sections of your website. In each section, you break things further down to a few H3 tags. If you need to go down further, you maybe have each of those H3s broken down into more sections. Those will be the title of your H4 tags and so on and so forth, right? So you see it's this big web structure the tree-like structure that you were building for each web page. And Google is going to read that structure to sort of try and categorize how your web page should be defined as. So if we are even to go down to this eco-friendly solutions here, we see again, this has no need or reason to be an H1 tag down here. So I do see that a lot where people just kind of like throwing their website together, and they may say like, oh, I just want this text to be bigger, so I'm going to make it a different heading level. And that's the wrong way to do it, right? Just because H1 naturally by your theme's default settings, H1 is a bigger text than an H2 or H3, they think, oh, I can just make this H1 because I want it to be bigger from a style standpoint. And there's, again, you want your heading tags to be defining structure, not style. So you can make this an H3 tag and still style it to look like an H1 tag. That's completely fine. But don't just make it an H1 tag just for the sole fact of trying to stylize it in a certain way. All right, so I see that sort of hit a lot, and it's a bad practice. Make sure you're using your heading tags in the proper way. If we keep drilling into the heading tags here, spelling errors and typos are a big thing that Google cares about. You have one right here, one little typo on your web page. Google's not going to associate your website as a spam website. But if you start seeing lots of different typos in there, Google might think that it is a spam website, and they're going to penalize that a little bit. So we have one typo right here, and that's just for the sole fact that you don't have a space technically right here in between these two, when right here you do have a space, right? We can see the space is right there, a space is not right there. So between the two different lines right here, you should just sort of add like a silent space right there, and then that way when Google is reading your heading structure, it's not looking like a typo right there. I think I saw another issue with that later down the line somewhere. Maybe it was a different page that I saw that on. Oh yeah, right here, about our work. What our clients say about our work, which appears right down here. Again, it's just it just happens from putting things on new lines here, and Google is just reading that as one continuous word. So try and see if you can add a little space in there. So that'd be one recommendation I have for you, because again, that happens on a lot of different web pages here. Your headings. Again, you have no heading H1 tag on the house washing page here. Again, so Google just is going to read this. Your H1 tag has the most weight in terms of like a stylistic structure for ranking your website, because Google is going to be using the title tag, which happens right here. This is the most important one. The description one is probably the second most important. And then for any one given thing, the H1 tag is going to be the third most important thing. All right, so make sure each page has a H1 tag that really describes what the intent of the page is supposed to be about. And then all the other tags below that really help support that main idea that's specified in the H1 tag. All right, so if we go to this page here, again, no H1 tag. All of these should be the H1 tags here. And then you have a little tagline there underneath it. Why us should be the H1 tag, probably is not. Yeah, so you just have a very common theme across all your web pages to check all your heading tags and make sure that they show the structure that you actually want them to show. Another pretty big important tip I would give here is images. You have on your homepage alone 13 images with the alt tag. If you're not familiar with what the alt tag is, it stands for alternative text. It's really important for two reasons. The most important part is, why is the alt tag even there? It is for people who have certain disabilities, may need the use of a screen reader when they are navigating a website. So the screen readers will use the alt tag to help understand what the image is about if they can't see the image, if they're blind or whatever else, right? Excuse me. So first and foremost, it's just the right thing to do to give a very descriptive alt tag for people who can't see the image to help them understand what the image is there, why it's there, and so on and so forth. And that's an accessibility thing. So the more accessible you make your website, the less accessibility hits you have on your website, the more Google is going to reward your website and not penalize it as much, right? They want to show websites that are more accessible to more users. That's the whole point of Google. So if you make your website more accessible, they're going to push your website up higher in terms of ranking. And then another reason why we care about the alt tags is they can be a huge benefit to your SEO, because not only is the image on there helping, Google loves images, so the fact that you have 21 images on here is awesome, but you only have 8 of them with an alt tag and 13 of them without. So again, the image plus the alt tag just help give that image a better understanding of what the image is about, and you can put in some keywords here and there. You know, Google's smart enough, don't be like keyword stuffing a whole bunch of spammy keywords inside of every alt image. Make it an actual realistic description of what that image is supposed to be about. For instance, we could look at this one right here. This image, another big thing, you do this one great, by the way, is you give your images proper actual file names. This one is called Deck Washing Omaha 1, and that's great. A lot of people use like Untitled 1, Untitled 2, or Screenshot, or whatever else for their image names. And no, give your image file names some proper descriptive file names before uploading them. And that's just going to help, again, the overall SEO profile of what the image and the web page is supposed to be all about. And you can do the same thing with the alt tag here. So for an alt tag, for an alternative text, I would probably put something along the lines of a picture of before and after pressure washing a deck in Omaha. That's not spammy because you are legitimately showing what this image, you're literally describing what the image is about, and you've added a few keywords in there. Location relevancy of where it's in Omaha and what it is about. It's about pressure washing a deck. So that would be the other thing. The next thing I would go through is go through all of your different images and make sure all the alternative text are in place for all of them there. And then for other big hits on this web page, I don't really think I had too much else here. Yeah, you have links to all these different services. That's great. Down here is something I'll sort of get to a little later down the line, because this is where things start getting into a little bit more work down the line. The first half of this video will just be like, again, those quick and easy wins that you can implement yourself that take very little time at all, but can be sort of the biggest bang for your buck. All right, so I'll get down to this part here later on. What else can we talk about here? What else? Another thing I like doing is using Google Chrome Lighthouse Analyzer. Again, this is something you can do on your own. If you have Google Chrome, you can right click and do inspect, and then you have all these different tabs here. Go to Lighthouse, and this is going to be a sort of audit report, automated audit report of your website for a few different categories. All right, so you can start with desktop, and then after do it with mobile and everything else. And it only takes a few seconds to run, anywhere from like 10 to 30 seconds to run. So we'll let this run here for a little bit, and we'll see the results of it. There we go. Your performance is a 94, meaning like how fast is your website, how fast can it load, and everything else. Is there any very large images that are slowing down the render time? So a 94, that's really great. Awesome job there. Accessibility is a 76. That's the biggest reason for that is most likely, again, your images don't have the proper alternative text in there. Your best practices, I looked at a few of these. Use of deprecated APIs, use of third-party cookies. A lot of these browser errors were logged to the console. A lot of these are probably, my guess is, outdated plugins that you are using. So always make sure that you are updating all your plugins, because a lot of this you probably don't have too much control over, other than updating your plugins. And then, yeah, I would just go through and look at all these different things. SEO, again, you have image elements. You don't have the alt attributes, the alt tags that we were talking about before, the alternative text. Links are not crawlable for these ones right here. This is one I did notice, actually. On your navigation bar, this is considered a link, but it's not clickable, and it is not actually going anywhere, which seems a little bit confusing, because I think this is a pretty big missed opportunity here for your website in general, just sort of the overall structure of your website. Google likes to see depth in websites. So your website is very wide, meaning like, what the heck do I mean there? You have all these different services under residential, but it's really just on the root level. So you have your page and house washing. You have your page and deck fence cleaning. You have your page and driveway cleaning. When instead, residential and house washing are kind of the same thing. We really see that here when you have a commercial tab, but you also have a commercial dedicated page, right? And then you have all these different other categories, all these different services that are under the commercial category still. So what I would do instead is I would structure your website a little bit differently, where you don't have this tab here. You don't have this link under the commercial tab. You actually make this its own link that goes straight to this page. And then this page can stay as is, but now I would also add a few different sub-services under here, such as fleet washing and graffiti removal and heavy equipment cleaning. That way you have the links for these sub-services not only in your navigation bar, but also from its parent, commercial cleaning. And then when you click on one of these, the URL structure is also different. It would be pressurewashing.com / commercial cleaning / graffiti removal. And this sort of tree-like structure, again, is just going to help show Google that graffiti removing is a part of commercial, and it just helps build a little bit better of a depth and profile for what your web page and what your web content is all about here. And then it would also, in turn, remove these sort of best practice issues right down here where these links are not crawlable, because now you would have a dedicated page for residential house washing, and in here you have more links going out to all your different sub-services under here. Let's go ahead and run an SEO audit or a Lighthouse audit on the house washing page. While that's going on, let's go ahead and see if we have any other issues. Let's again check out the headings here. Mentioned these headings before in terms of you don't have an H1. Here's one. You have an H2 that says here's why and a why choose us. So Google is reading this whole section right here as a here's why. They're categorizing this section as a here's why. And that's not really indicative of what you want it to be. So what I would do, again, don't use the heading tags for styling, use them for semantic structuring. So instead, I would make this the H2, but I would leave it looking the exact same. I think the presentation of it looks totally fine and looks totally great. So I would make this an H2, but still make the text look smaller and this color. And then you can make this one just a normal paragraph, but it's bigger. So it looks the exact same way. So the visual representation of it doesn't change at all for us humans, but the Google bots, the Google algorithms are able to just identify and categorize this whole section a little bit better, because this whole section really is a why choose us section and not a here's why section. And then, yeah, you have some H3s of experience, advanced equipment, eco-friendly. That's all great. That's exactly how I would put all these, because these are all different headings, different like subsections under the main why choose us section. Let's see, do these images here have alt tags? I'm gonna guess not. Here we go, image, alt tag is a picture. That's not really helpful for explaining what this is, right? So you're missing out on a huge SEO opportunity right there by properly explaining what this is. Again, it's a before and after picture of pressure washing the siding of a residential house. Same thing, alt image picture. Alt image picture probably, yep. So again, I would change the alt image there, alt image tags on these three pictures to properly identify what they all are. And you have a whole bunch of pictures in here actually. So again, I love the before and after pictures. Just add a little bit more description of what it is. It's going to give you some more SEO juice there. What about here? Are these? Okay, these are not heading tags here. So again, here's another section where you can benefit from your heading tags. Why Omaha homeowners choose us. This is an amazing piece of text right here. Make this a heading tag. This should probably be an H3 or an H2, sorry. This would be an H2 heading tag because we're defining a whole new section of why choose your company. And then each one of these steps should in turn be an H3 because now you have different subheadings under this overall heading here. And then you have some links to other places and yeah, all great stuff. Let's go back and look at this here. Again, the performance on your website is absolutely phenomenal. So great work there. A bunch of accessibility stuff. Again, we talk about the alt image attributes here. The area attributes. This one gets a little bit more advanced, but really not too much. You have this play button here, and really it's kind of the same thing as the alt image tags. You just need to explain a little bit of the purpose of what this video is supposed to be. Here's a kind of big one. Again, we get into contrast of colors. Where are we seeing this here? Right here. So they're saying that this button isn't dark enough. The background color for the button isn't dark enough compared to the foreground color, the actual text color. So we can use, what is it called here? Contrast color checker. And then, yeah, from the WebAIM website for accessibility in mind. All right, so if we inspect this button right here, and we'll see the background color is this hex color right here. So I'm going to go over here and do background color is that. And then the foreground color is white. And we will see that this fails most contrast colors here, meaning that people who have color blindness disabilities, they're going to have a really hard time trying to read this font against this background color. So I like this website a lot because you can make this a little bit darker and see, well, where is that threshold? Where is that turning point where you get all of them to pass? And that would happen right about here, unfortunately, if you wanted to pass all of them. So to pass the AAA, I would change it to be about this color instead. And if we were to copy that and just make it, where did I have that? Right up here. And see how much different that looks. It's not too much different. You could, and again, it's a weighing game, so you could make it not pass AAA, but pass AA, a different standard. So to pass a AA at least, and not a AAA, which, you know, not amazing, but not as bad, you can make it this color instead. And there, that looks very similar to what you had before, but again, it passes a little bit more checks for the contrast visibility to help make your website more accessible. And again, Google is going to want to rank and reward websites that are more accessible to more users. All right, what else could we go on here? Again, all the heading tags. There's no H1 tag on this page as well. This is the Why Choose Us page. I would probably even put in the title here, Why Choose Us, instead of just Why Us. But this should be Why Us, Why Choose Us, whatever you decide to say. This should be an H1 tag here. And then you have, yeah, so you have that as an H2 currently. Just make that an H1, simple as that. And then you have a couple H2s right down here are another great opportunity for you to put in some more heading tags here. So you probably just have this as a strong, normal paragraph font here. Change this to be a H3. You know, H3, H3, H3. And it just helps Google understand that your website is broken up into a few different more sections, and it can help categorize things just that much better. View our work. You have a bunch of pictures in here. Probably a bunch of opportunities for missed alt tags. Hey, look at it. You have your alt tags here. You have the... you have a bunch of alt tags on here. Best house wash, Omaha. A little bit keyword spammy there, but we'll let it slide. People do it all the time. House washing, Omaha 2. So yeah, it looks like you went through and added a whole bunch of alt tags on here at least, which is awesome. So just make sure that you do it on all of your images. All right, yeah, nothing too much about that page here. Your FAQ page. Here's one I wanted to talk about, right? Schema. Huge missed opportunity on not only the FAQ page. We see there's no structured data found, but I believe on all your pages you don't have any schema, right? So the schema of a web page helps define. Again, there's just more ways for Google to be able to read and understand your website, and it also gives certain capabilities to help your website rank or being able to show like certain rich snippet features on different search terms or whatever else. So This one gets a tiny bit more advanced, but it's really not that hard at all. You use Weebly, again, I'm almost positive there's going to be some plugins that you can add that help you do schema. So there's a whole bunch of different schema types that you could implement. For all my contractor-based businesses, I always recommend using the local business schema, because then you're able to have each individual page categorized as its own service. And then on your main page here, you would have all your different services as their own schema attribute. I'm on the home page here, actually. Does this one have schema? But no, it still does not. Okay. So you have 3 different services right there. That would actually probably be another thing I would do. Oh, you have different services right here, actually. So I'd actually maybe expand this one out a little bit more, or maybe even leave this and underneath it have more like cards. Like I like to do, for one of my contractors here, this painting company in Maryland, and I have all their services sort of at the top here, where their services are described right here, and then links to all the individual sub-services that they provide. And if we look at the schema for this one here, we see we have house painter, because he is in fact a house painter, and then we have all the different offer catalogs. So like basically telling Google, hey, he is a house painter, here's all the different services that he offers. One particular offer is interior house painting. Another particular offer, the service, and then it's broken down into a really big tree-like structure. One subservice is interior painting. All the different sub-services of there are room painting is a part of interior painting that they offer. All right. Another service they offer is accent walls painting, is another service of interior painting service that they offer. Another service is cabinet painting, so on and so forth. So this schema is embedded inside the website that Google is actually reading and helping to just better categorize your page here. And then you can also say, hey, it's the same as this Facebook page as well. So Google is then able to better link those two together. You can also do things like, because it's a local business type of schema, you can put in the address so Google knows where it's at. You can put in geo coordinates and then put in like your map to your Google business profile, and so on and so forth. So there's so much different things that you can do with schema. And then one such thing in particular, again, as well, is the FAQ page. So you have all of these FAQs over here, all right, where you have a question with an answer. You can actually tell Google, hey, this is specifically a Q&A page with the frequently asked questions schema, the FAQ schema. So it gives a question with the answer. And again, this just helps Google. This is where you might be able to get some rich featured snippet on Google. They have their AI generated answers anymore, so they're starting to deprecate that feature a lot more and more as of recently, unfortunately. But it's still a quick and easy win. It's still something that can help your website in the long run. So I would absolutely add schema on all your different pages here. And when you start using plugins, that makes it a little bit easier to do, but it is a little bit more work to start implementing. So, I wouldn't say that's the quick and easy win. That's sort of like the middle range type of win that you could do. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of your blog posts here. All right. Obviously, we're going to look at the alt tag. It just says picture, huge room for improvement there. This is a H2 tag. I don't think you have any H1 tag on here. If we go to headings, no H1 tag. So again, same theme as everything else we've been describing, so on, so forth. You have some links in here, so awesome job linking to different services that you have. Linking to a product, it looks like, which I'm assuming maybe you have an affiliate link for this. I don't know if I see a disclaimer anywhere for affiliate link usage, so I'll probably make sure if you are doing affiliate links, awesome job, keep up with that. But you might want to include a disclaimer on there saying, hey, some of my links on here are affiliate links. I might make a couple pennies if you click on them and buy stuff. It's of no cost to you, so on and so forth. It's some legal foobar that may or may not be required based on where you're at. Most likely is required. The blog post itself, a little bit weak on content if we look at the overall here. 735 words, so I guess not terrible. More than I thought, and I think it's just because it's so like clumped together. So one thing I like to do with the blog post is break them up a little bit. Shorter sentences, less walls of text that people have to go and read, but also start breaking this out in a category, start breaking it out into more sections. Again, using your heading structures here, your H1s, H2s, and H3 sections. Other than that, I probably like to try and target around 2,000 words per blog post. So could use a little bit more beef inside of this blog post here. I don't have too much more time. I want to end this video a little bit short soon. So one last thing I would leave you with, I guess two last things. This nav bar right here, it's a little bit overwhelming. When a user comes on here, they probably don't want to see all this different stuff. I don't think you need all of these links front and center right here because it's just very valuable real estate. It gives the user a little bit too many options to want to look at. So maybe what I'll do is put like the FAQs gallery and why us under the more category instead. Or maybe even create a new one that says about, and then you could have the blog FAQs gallery and why us under the about, and then the more is really just it says the contact page. I didn't look at this one. This seems to go out to a separate page for some reason. Maybe you have a better lead capturing tool based on market.com over here instead, or whatever else, which is fine. But maybe consider shortening and giving your users a little bit less options to have to choose from. And then the last one, which may be a little bit more involved here, is creating location-based services. And this one is so important. All right, so you're targeting all these different locations here, and that's awesome. And then you have all these different services here that you offer, which is awesome. But what you don't have is location per service dedicated pages. So you have a dumpster cleaning page. What you really need to have is a dumpster cleaning in Omaha page. You need a dumpster cleaning in La Vista page. You need a dumpster cleaning in Blair page, so on and so forth. So this is where it starts getting into a lot more work and takes a lot more time. But this is really where your website starts getting a lot more of that depth and starts expanding out and getting a lot more location relevancy. And it's going to give you a whole bunch more of different opportunities to try and rank in different areas for different services for your website here. So this is the one where it starts taking a long time to actually go through this, but it is just so incredibly important. So for each different service that you offer, in each different location that you offer it in should have its own dedicated page. And then these would all be linking to each other. You want to make sure that you have at least one link to each page you make. Otherwise it is considered, it's known as what's an orphan page. And the more orphan pages you have, the more pages that don't have internal links going to them, the worse your website looks, because then Google thinks that it's kind of, again, just a spammy website. You have all these web pages that aren't really relevant because no one else is linking to them. None of your own pages link to them. So why would Google link to them anywhere else? So this is the part where it takes a lot of time and effort to actually go in and make all these different pages. But again, it is one of the most important things that you can do for your website for the long run. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, please consider giving this video a like and subscribe. Drop any comments down below if you have any questions or concerns or want me to do a follow-up and dive deeper on any certain topic. But again, I thank you for letting me make this video on your website. Hope you found value from it. See you next time.